Welcome to Healthcare Entrepreneur Academy, where we seek to educate, motivate, and inspire professionals into starting their own healthcare businesses. Learn from leading healthcare entrepreneurs and other business experts as they share their journey and provide a glimpse into their playbooks for success. Loaded with valuable insights and actionable strategies, this show will guide you on your path to freedom. Now, please welcome your host, entrepreneur and healthcare practitioner, Jason Duprat.
Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Healthcare Entrepreneur Academy podcast. We're back here for another Tactical Tuesday episode. On the last Tactical Tuesday, we talked about the three circles and their intersection / overlap, and where they do, that's the sweet spot for success. But after I got off the podcast episode, I felt like I just left something out that was pretty important. And what I wanted to do on this episode is to circle back to that sort of overall concept and fill in just a couple more gaps. So on the 58, we talked about drawing three circles that overlap. And in the middle, essentially all three of them overlap or intersect. And so one of the circles is your knowledge and skill sets, which is the circle that we call what you do well. And then the other circle is your passion or strong interest. And this is the circle we call what you want to do. And then the third circle is the market problem or the demand, which is what people will pay for. And so we talked about where all three of those things intersect or overlap. That's the sweet spot. And that's where you're going to have the best success for finding a business. If you want to get more information on that, go back one Tactical Tuesday episode and you can get filled in on the details a little bit more there. But what I wanted to talk about on this episode is where you are essentially finding a business idea or creating a business around possibly two areas where two of the circles overlap. And so you're not quite in the sweet spot. You're just outside the sweet spot. You're capturing two of the three key elements to being in that sweet spot. So if you are, and sort of there's three of those sections where those overlap. And one we call the hobby zone. One is the lackluster results zone. And the other one is the burnout zone. And this is something I just literally created like an hour ago while I was thinking about what I was missing on that podcast. And so the reason you want to make sure that you're in the sweet spot and not in one of these three zones is because you're not going to have long-term success or any success possibly if you are not in your sweet spot. So if you're looking at that circle and you're in the section where that circle that says what you do well, and you're looking at that section that's overlapping with the part that says what you want to do. So your passion and your interest and your knowledge and your skills. So you found a business idea that where those two things overlap. That is the hobby zone, because you are not going to be able to sell anything that you create in that zone or enough to sustain yourself, because what you are failing to forget is that there is no market demand. And so there's nobody willing to pay for your knowledge and your skill sets that also overlap with your passions. And so that's why it's important to be in that sweet spot, because that sweet spot will be where that market demand overlaps those two. So you want to stay out of the hobby zone. You don't want to just focus on where your knowledge and skills and passions are, because there may not be a market demand for it. And if you don't have a market demand, you have a hobby. So that's one of the zones. The other zone, I just created this term. We call it the burnout zone. And this is where your knowledge and skills, so what you do well, overlaps with what people will pay for. And so the part that's missing where those two interlap is the passion. And so if you don't really have, a strong interest or a passion in what you're creating and selling as part of your business, then you're going to very quickly get burnout. And it's possible to have a fairly successful business and where just those two overlap. But if you don't have a passion for it, eventually you're going to get burnout. Your business is going to suffer. Your product quality is going to suffer, and you're not going to have long-term sustainable results. Now, a quick word from one of our sponsors. This episode is sponsored by my free presentation for the Ketamine Academy. If you're tired of long hours, constantly being on call, or having to give up your nights, weekends, and holidays, all for an employer that only thinks of you as a productivity number that they're trying to maximize, then it's time to break free from the hospital grind, become your own boss, and finally take control of your professional trajectory. It's time you start your own practice. I know it sounds really scary, maybe even a little impossible. I get it. You got student loans, you're working tons of hours, and you may not even be a physician. Well, I am here to tell you that it's absolutely possible. Starting my own clinic was exactly how I started my healthcare entrepreneur career, and there's one specific type of clinic that almost anybody can open. Ketamine therapy is one of the most promising treatments in the fight against depression, PTSD, and chronic pain that we've ever seen. And thousands of patients across the country are looking for clinics in their area. The problem is that there aren't enough yet, and these patients need someone like you to open a ketamine practice in your hometown. Go to ketamineacademy.com/presentation for a no-cost 60-minute training on how to gain more freedom by opening up your own clinic. On the presentation, you'll discover why opening your own private clinic is a better decision than working more overtime or going back to school for another degree, why this one specific niche clinic is the easiest to open and doesn't require a bunch of cash to start, and how anyone can open this type of clinic, even if you're not a physician, by just following a few simple steps. So to register for this free training, just go to ketamineacademy.com/presentation. Now let's get back to the show. The third area is the lackluster results area, and that's where there is a market problem and there's a demand that people will pay for, and that's overlapping with your passion. So what you want to do. But the problem there is that if you got those two circles intersecting or overlapping, you are missing what you do well. So your knowledge and your skills. And if you don't have real knowledge or skills, then you're not going to get results, because what you are providing as a business or service or product, just if you're passionate about it, if you're giving incorrect information or bad information or information that doesn't produce results just because it's a passion, but you don't know what you're talking about or doing, and there's a demand, you might make temporary money there, but you're going to be destroying your brand because you're going to be delivering a poor quality product or a product that's not backed by real knowledge and skills. And so essentially, maybe a better word for this one would be like the fraudulent zone, because you're selling stuff that you don't really have business selling because you don't have any knowledge on it. You're just very passionate about it and people are willing to pay for it. So maybe that's a better name for it, the lackluster results / fraud zone, because essentially you're kind of, at some point, you're ripping people off by selling stuff that may not work, but you have a passion for it and you're just interested in it. So those are the three zones I wanted to touch on a little bit more, because I felt like I was missing a little bit when I originally developed and came up with the 3-circle overlap, essentially the model, I guess you could call it. So I wanted to touch base on that, and hopefully that explains it a little bit more clear. If you're not in the Healthcare Entrepreneur Academy Facebook group, I did the Intersecting Circles episode live, and I drew it on a whiteboard. And so you will be able to go in there and actually visualize what I'm talking about. And I think that will help provide a better understanding. And so I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I hope to see you in the Facebook group, and I'm in there every day interacting. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, you want to see somebody on the show, I would encourage you to go in, leave a post, and tag me, and I will definitely be in there interacting. So thanks for tuning in to this episode, and we will check you on the next one. Have a great one, guys.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Healthcare Entrepreneur Academy. Want to connect with more like-minded healthcare entrepreneurs and professionals? Just head over to jasonduprat.com/group to join our Facebook family for real-time interactions, insight, and resources to get you one step closer to realizing your goal. We look forward to interacting with you, but until then, we'll catch you on the next episode of the Healthcare Entrepreneur Academy.